Hey there, I am Pops. This is a very short just reaction to John Wick 4. I will do a more comprehensive video. I will not do spoilers. I will only stick to some high level stuff, give you some different elements to the film I think you'll enjoy. This is obviously, I mean, the consensus is moving very, very quickly, and I have to agree. It's the best, most fun, entertaining film since Top Gun Maverick and RRR. You can also throw people that love the Norseman and things like that in there. This is just toxic masculinity. The John Wick franchise succeeded in doing exactly what everybody wanted it to do: a massive shootout, a loud, bombastic film full of absurdity, uh, incredible characters, world building, performances. Everything is great. So, the film picks up right after the events. John Wick has survived what happened at the end of John Wick 3 when Winston shot him, and the Bowery King there, as you see, Lawrence Fishburne. He's the first person we're going to see with John, and that's like, are you ready to get back at this? And that's kind of how this starts. Like, you've got to take on the high table. He survived, but he knows the only way to move on. It wastes no time. So some of the plot elements to get you moving on how things will go. Okay, it wastes no time for him to go after the elder. And then when he goes after the elder, he has to know that if he actually goes through with this, and there's a great quote that says, "Listen, uh, no one, can escape who we are. No one can escape the table. You can't get out of it. Freedom only comes in death." And John Wick says, "I know." And I said, "I'm afraid you came all this way for nothing." Right. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Like, John understands he's taking on so many people that it's mathematically impossible that he's going to survive this. Like, it sets up a great situation. And then when the high table targets Winston because he failed, right? Winston didn't do what he was supposed to do. They don't follow through of keeping the elder safe and all those kinds of things. Wick is still running crazy, right? So if that's true, and this is what happens, then it starts to melt down the entire system. So if the system starts to melt down, how are we going to deal with Wick? And you see some of the similar elements that you saw in the first film was with the great sort of simplistic absence of technology way they put bounties on people's head and communicate that out. They create great characters. Bill Skarsgård plays a character called the Marquis. By the way, Bill Skarsgård is so tall and interesting, and the way they gave him a costume and the quirkiness that he does, he pulls off. He's such a great performer that even when he's with Clancy Brown, because Clancy Brown is in this as a character called the Harbinger, who is a very large, intimidating guy, as we all know from the Highlander role, right? But it works so well because Bill is also a big, tall, gangly looking dude, and they have a menacing scene that's set up so well. You have another assassin. So there's one assassin I like, one that I'm not totally sold on. The one I like is called Mr. Nobody. Now, this is the kind of thing where people will go, is it woke? Is it diverse? Is it what I think? You know what this is? This is well written, interesting characters that fit the story of where John needs to go and what he needs to accomplish. And it just turns out that that stuff happens naturally, just like it always has. We go back to a film like Alien that has a strong female lead and black members and other woman, all kinds of things that are in these films. This goes back for all the stuff that's been manufactured. Wick has stayed grounded in going back to traditional filmmaking, casting, and staying focused on more on story and world and those kinds of elements because you care more about all of that. Uh, Donnie Yen plays another assassin named Kane. I'm just going to say he's blind, and the absurdity of the situation for me doesn't work nearly as well with the blind character, even though there are some really cool moments. And obviously, Donnie Yen is amazing at martial arts and some of the stuff that he can bring to the table. It's just fantastic. You have a great Asian cast. You have great scenery and lighting that's just done so well. These chase sequences where you end up with like they're shooting and using different type of weapons and they're contrasting the colors and the settings and all of these different things. And John keeps ending up in these situations where he really shouldn't live, but he always lives. He just kind of keeps moving and just kind of keeps moving. He ends up having to face a reality of, does he try to go back to his roots? How does he move on and try to figure out, is there an end? Is there an avenue to move forward? Winston kind of calls that out. Winston has this again, another reminder at one point in the movie, it's like they have more bodies than you have bullets. I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly how it went, but it's like, okay, you're right, because I can kill this person, but they're going to line up 10 more people. So he has to come up with a strategy and that kind of thing. So I think you're going to have a great time. I think it's a blast. I want to do a more in depth story, get into some of the twists and turns and spoils. And I'll say this, I would love to see the franchise. I know there's been talk about The Continental. I don't know if it's supposed to be a movie. I thought it was supposed to be a TV show. I've heard mixed things. I think everything is probably just in gray right now. What they should do is a TV series, a graphic, hardcore type of show. Give yourself a year to 2 years to put this thing together and roll out something like that and expand the universe. Get into the Bowery King, get into the Continental, follow maybe an assassin or two, that kind of thing. And let the Keanu Reeves John Wick thing stand and then expand the universe as well. I think there's just so much here with these characters that I would love to see, and you can't give all of it the screen time you need to because John Wick is the center of the film, and we follow him around pretty much through it. So anyway, I can just highly recommend this film. Is it a a 9-star film? And no, it's not. It's like a 7. It's an 8. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. It's more fun than it is great because this is the absurdity of an action shoot 'em up kind of film. Like it's like that kind of stuff. But at the same time, what makes this whole franchise, I'll say this, it's the best franchise of the last 10 years because I know the Marvel stuff kind of came to an end with Endgame, but this franchise that started in what 2014, I think was the first film. So you're talking about just at 10 years. The third one really is the weakest film by far. But even then, it's the absurdity of 2 or 3 pieces that just don't work. It's the sluggishness of a couple pieces that just don't work. It's almost like it sets this film up rather than stand on its own. That film is still better and superior to most of the things that we've had to sort through over the last few years. So that's my reaction video. You guys go see it. You guys tell me what you want, what you guys think of it. Thank you so much for watching. I am Pops.
All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama.